The Wedding Guest, played by Miss Horny Honey.
He didn't want to go. He preferred to go to a funeral, or even to a heart operation in which he would risk his life. He hated weddings. Since his fiancée left with his best friend, he had not gone to anyone's wedding again. However, this time Fran couldn't escape. Her mother had asked him to go with her to his cousin Valentino's wedding in Italy. "Italy," he said. "Italy is too far away. We'll have to go by plane and I don't like flying." His mother didn't even answer him. Her request wasn't really a request. It was an order. There were only 2 days left until the damn wedding and he hadn't prepared his clothes or his shoes. He hadn't even cut his hair. "You have beautiful hair," she said. His mother, however, had long ago prepared a pretty fuchsia-colored dress with a large neckline and some high-heeled sandals that possibly had a heel that was too high for her age. "You're going to fall from up there, Mom," he told her. But she just laughed. She was happy to go to a wedding and be able to wear those sandals and that dress for the first time. "It's the wedding guest's dress," she said. "Everyone is going to look at me. You can't attract attention, Mom. The protagonist is the bride." "Yes, darling. She is a charming girl," her mother said, "and she also has a beautiful sister whose name is like you." "My name is not Francesca, Mom." "No, but your name is Francis, and actually that name is Francesco. You'll like that girl, you'll see. Your cousin Valentino is deeply in love with her sister. Then they should get married and be very happy," he replied. End. "We don't need to go. You're going to go and you're going to have a great time," she replied, amused. "That way you'll stop thinking about that stuck-up Kimberly." "I don't think about Kim anymore, Mom." "Well, much better," she insisted again. "Let's forget about that harpy and enjoy the stay. By the way, we leave tomorrow. Your things are prepared in that suitcase." Fran opened his mouth to protest one last time, but her mother looked at him with that look that only mothers know how to give. She was always right. Furthermore, surely everything that was in that suitcase was his size and had an elegance typical of an Italian wedding. After many hours of flying and taxi, Fran and his mother arrived at the beautiful house that her Italian family had in Tuscany. They were just able to talk for a moment with one of Fran's cousins and just a couple of minutes with Valentino's parents. Everyone was really busy and nervous about the wedding. Well, Fran thought, at least the wedding will be over quickly and we'll be able to leave here soon. As if his mother was listening to his thoughts, just at that moment she told him, "Honey, I had forgotten to tell you that we will be in Italy for 2 weeks." It couldn't be true. 2 weeks. But what was her mother thinking? The next morning Fran got ready without much joy. Still, he looked very handsome in the clothes his mother had bought him and his well-combed long hair. But the credit wasn't his clothes. Fran had a beautiful face sculpted by the Italian gods and a perfect body thanks to his work in a gym. He would surely attract attention, just like his mother's fuchsia dress and high-heeled sandals. Since it was still early, he decided to take a walk through the enormous house where the wedding would later take place. He walked through the hallways, looking into several rooms, all of them empty. He finally heard women's voices in one of them. He approached and stood outside, silent. They were 2 young girls, no doubt. "You can't wear these shoes, Michaela." "I can take them and I'm going to take them," responded the other young woman. "They are horrible," the first woman insisted, "and they are black. But I like them and the dress won't let anyone notice that I'm not wearing white shoes. Also, Marco gave them to me." "Marco is your previous boyfriend, Michaela. Today is your wedding and you are going to marry Valentino. He is in love with you." I know, the bride responded. But I'm not in love with Valentino. It's Marco I love. Fran tried not to make any noise as he moved even closer to the room. You shouldn't marry Valentino then, her friend protested. He's a great guy. Yes, that's true, Michaela replied. He is very good. He is too good. In fact, it's a bit silly. But he has a lot of money. And that's why you marry him, right? Because he has a lot of money. You don't love him. I'm sorry, my friend, Michaela said. But that's how it is. I know you really like Valentino, but I will marry him because he has a lot of money and you will be my bridesmaid. You will have to attend our wedding and see how I marry your beloved Valentino. For my part, I will be thinking about Marco while I say I do. You are horrible, said the young bridesmaid. I hope someone cancels this absurd wedding. And who is going to stop me from marrying your Valentino, my friend? Will you do it? With her eyes full of tears, the young bridesmaid ran out of the room, passing Fran without seeing him. Michaela was laughing inside the room while her friend ran down the hallway. It was at that moment, when he could no longer hear voices and he could not know what was happening inside, that Fran finally peeked into the room. He then saw for the first time his cousin's fiancée, who was trying on her shoes, a gift from her former boyfriend. Fran stumbled against the door, making enough noise to catch Michaela's attention, and she turned around in surprise. Michaela, her cousin's girlfriend, whom she was going to marry despite being in love with her previous boyfriend, Marco, was sitting in an elegant wooden chair. She was wearing a sophisticated outfit consisting of a white bra and panties of the same color. On her legs, white stockings with garter belts on both thighs. One white, the other light blue. And a black stiletto on her left foot. She wasn't wearing anything else. The other shoe still remained in her right hand. It was normal that, faced with such a spectacle, Fran would stumble against the door. Hearing the noise that clumsy Fran made, Michaela turned towards the hallway. At no point did she make any attempt to cover herself, but rather she stood even higher on her chair, showing even more clearly the size of her breasts. They both stared at each other for a few seconds while Fran searched for words to apologize. Finally, it was Michaela who spoke. Or rather the one who in a thread of voice uttered a single word. Marco. Fran loosened the knot on his tie. He had to leave there and talk to his cousin Valentino about her. Or at least with his mother. Yes, that would be better. She would know what to do. With an apologetic bow of his head, he turned to run out of there after the lady-in-waiting, who at that moment must have already been close to Rome. Marco, wait, Michaela said, standing up. Her figure now was not so elegant because one of her feet was raised in a high stiletto while the other remained barefoot on the ground. Wait, Marco, my love, she said again. Fran turned to her again. I think she's confusing me with her ex-boyfriend, he thought. I possibly look like him. He watched her approach with ridiculous steps, limping with only one shoe. When she reached him, she put both hands around his neck and looked him straight in the eyes. Fran was paralyzed, with Michaela's fingers caressing his hair at the nape of his neck, an extremely pleasant sensation, and with that stiletto just inches from his face. He could smell the scent of that shoe. It smelled new. Leather still unworn. Virgin leather. A shoe that had barely been worn. That smell greatly excited Fran. Without saying anything, Michaela brought her lips closer to Fran's and kissed him. But what am I doing? He asked himself. She is my cousin's girlfriend and they are getting married today. And so it was. However, Michaela's fingers continued playing with his hair, and that was something irresistible to Fran. And worse still, that smell of the black stiletto was driving him crazy. Michaela bit Fran's lower lip hard and her tongue eagerly searched for the boy's tongue. Fran couldn't stop. In fact, Fran didn't want to stop. He was really excited by that woman who was hugging him in white Italian lingerie and a black stiletto with a delicious aroma. He also bit Michaela's lower lip. He wanted her. No more words were needed. No explanations were needed. They just needed to let go. Fran's hands began to caress Michaela's bare skin. She let herself be caressed. "Take off my clothes," she said softly, as her fingers, which had abandoned Fran's hair, now searched for the hair on the man's chest. She moaned. "Do you shave your chest?" "I love it," she said. It was the last thing she said. She didn't even open her mouth when Fran protested minutes later that he wasn't wearing condoms. Michaela just looked at him defiantly. Again, there were no more words. Words. That was what tormented Fran inside him. Words. "She is your cousin's girlfriend. They are going to get married today. You could get her pregnant. You keep thinking about Kim. You shouldn't be here." However, the desire was greater than his strength. They had been hurriedly undressing for several minutes while their fingers ran over the other's body. And in that moment, naked, with Michaela sitting on the elegant wooden chair, with each leg resting on one of the arms of the chair, her fingers once again ran through the hair of Fran, who was kneeling before her. Michaela's hand gripped him tightly by his hair, and she guided him firmly toward her belly. Fran's kisses traveled over her body, leaving not a square centimeter to go. Her belly, her breasts, her neck, her lips. "Can I kiss your feet?" he asked. "Kiss me wherever you want, but kiss me, Marco," she said. "And then, my darling, make love to me like never before." As the commotion swept through the halls of the Italian Tuscany home, Fran was finishing dressing for the second time that day. "Have you seen Michaela?" someone asked. "Michaela?" Fran asked. "I don't know who she is, sorry." The nervous man disappeared back into the hallway, followed by many other wedding guests. Fran looked out the window. 2 weeks, he said, smiling. "Michaela and I hid for 2 weeks, fleeing from this family full of crazy people. Afterwards, maybe I'll continue running away with her, or if she hasn't been able to make me forget about Kimberly, maybe I'll go home with Mom." He adjusted the knot of his tie to join the rest of his family and Michaela's family and pretend that he was helping them look for her. He thought about her for a moment. So sexy and feminine in her white lingerie, and such an athlete climbing down the vine on the facade. He had seen her come down the wall as if she were a squirrel, agile and precise. Effective. Just like in bed. Or rather, just like in the chair. She had blown him a kiss from below with her hand, making her right arm draw a huge arc in the air. Afterwards, Michaela had gotten into an old Volkswagen Beetle and left making a lot of noise, dragging cans tied to the rear bumper, right under a sign that said "Just Married." It seemed impossible that no one had heard such a noise. But apparently all the guests were inside, finishing dressing. Or looking for Michaela. "Michaela," he said softly. "I've been lucky to look like that, Marco." He smiled satisfied, remembering the scene they had played minutes ago. When he was going to leave the room to supposedly look for the bride at the wedding, he saw 2 women in the hallway, next to the door. They were both perfectly familiar faces. Fran swallowed with enormous effort. He couldn't suddenly be more nervous. "Were you looking for me, Mom?" "Yes, son. I want to introduce you to Francesca, the sister of that crazy girlfriend who must be hiding in some bathroom, panicking." "Nice to meet you, Fran," said the young Italian. "Nice to meet you, Kim."